Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. Here's what's making news right now.
At this point, most of the hospitalizations and ICU admissions and deaths are among the unvaccinated. And the people doing the disproportionate amount of work to try for containment are children in schools.
It's easier for people to come to Can-Am. It was easier for me to call on my own community and say, hey, this is what's going on, and not feel judged.
I'm asking them, where would they like to see themselves? What are the barriers that are present for them? What are preventing them from being the best version of themselves?
Thanks for joining us. Some stark numbers today from our local health authority on the risk COVID-19 poses to those who remain unvaccinated. According to their latest data, unvaccinated people are 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with COVID-19 in Windsor, Essex than those who got their shots.
If you get vaccinated, you're less likely to get sick, you're less likely to go to the hospital, you're less likely to die if you get COVID. And that has implications for the people that are vaccinated. So I would, ask every person who's in their 50s and 60s who's currently not vaccinated and eligible for the vaccine to get the vaccine.
Unvaccinated individuals are also more than 3 times more likely to contract COVID-19 than those who are fully vaccinated. And when it comes to winding up in the ICU, unvaccinated individuals are almost 5 times more likely to end up in intensive care than someone who is vaccinated. Their data also found that vaccination rates continue to be low among those aged 18 to 29. In fact, they have the lowest coverage rate in Windsor, Essex. Meanwhile, our region reported 83 new cases today. There are 23 people in hospital, and 2 more people have died due to COVID-19, a man in his 70s and another man in his 90s. The government of Ontario has announced it is lowering the age restriction for receiving a COVID vaccine booster.
Beginning Monday, December 13th, individuals aged 50 and over will be eligible to schedule their booster dose appointment. In addition, effectively immediately, individuals receiving dialysis are eligible for a 3rd dose of the COVID-19 vaccine.
Those on dialysis will have to wait 56 days from their 2nd dose before receiving their booster. All others who are eligible for their shot will have to wait 168 days, about 6 months from their 2nd injection. Also starting today, Alberta has lowered its age of eligibility for a booster to 60. The province has a longer range plan to get the age down to 18 years over time. The United States is imposing new travel restrictions because of the rise of the Omicron variant. President Joe Biden made the announcement this afternoon.
All inbound international travelers must test within 1 day of departure, regardless of their vaccination status or nationality. This tighter testing timetable provides an added degree of protection as scientists continue to study the Omicron variant.
The 1-day test would apply to U.S. citizens as well as foreign visitors flying into the states. It's expected to take effect as early as next week. There was no word on whether the new policy may be changed in the coming days to apply to people making land crossings as well. The U.S. is also extending mask mandates for travel on planes, boats, and public transit through the winter. A housing support worker says more Indigenous-led supports are needed to help people find affordable housing. It's what helped her find stable housing when she was homeless in Windsor after other options failed. The CBC's Chris Ensing reports.
Kim Noah helps about 35 people a month with a growing callback list. Her clients need housing support. Noah and her assistant, they're spread thin.
Because we're seeing that families that we've helped are now referring their friends, referring their family.
And more people need help in Windsor. Homelessness is up by 27%, according to a report by city staff. 22% identify as Indigenous. It's a consistent stat that shows massive overrepresentation.
I feel like there's a higher number. There's a lot of hidden homelessness here in Windsor. I was one of those hidden cases until I came to Can-Am.
In 2015, Noah was homeless. She was working full-time, living out of a vehicle, a single mother of 4, her kids staying with family members in Moravian Town in Walpole Island. She remembers getting ready in that vehicle for job interviews in parking lots like these. She says the shelter system in Windsor wasn't designed in a way that worked for her.
So my kids would go stay with my grandma on the reserve, or with their aunt on another reserve. So during that time, I wasn't able to stay in shelter because I couldn't commit to being in at a certain time, or staying over the weekend, or not having my other kids come stay with me. So that was a really low point in our lives.
She did find help at the Can-Am Indian Friendship Center, who helped her secure stable housing.
It's easier for people to come to Can-Am. It was easier for me to call on my own community and say, hey, this is what's going on, and not feel judged.
Noah was soon hired as the housing advocate. Clients shocked to hear her story. She says it builds trust, leading to more referrals, and now she needs help again, asking the city to fund another Indigenous housing advocate.
To help relieve some of that pressure, the stress of getting done the behind the scenes things like filing would be amazing.
Windsor's housing and homelessness master plan calls for more investment in Indigenous-led programs for housing supports. It also calls for 100 additional affordable housing units for Indigenous people by 2028. That would double what's currently available. Chris Ensing, CBC News, Windsor.
Essex County Council is addressing its Code Black crisis. That's when no ambulances are available to respond to a 911 call. It's something paramedics in Windsor, Essex have recently been facing. Last night, Essex County Council approved hiring 12 additional paramedics. The head of EMS says this will help avoid Code Black situations going forward.
We're going to be looking at the volumes and the deployments and see what best utilization we can for those 12 full-time paramedic hours, where they go within the system to get the optimum coverage so that we can reduce, mitigate, hopefully we don't have code blacks and code reds, but the whole issue around that is much larger than just staffing of paramedics. But we will look at where we have to put them and make sure we're putting them in the right spot.
Crowder says bed shortages in hospitals also contribute to Code Blacks. He says part of the problem is increasing numbers of COVID patients. 4 paramedics have been placed on unpaid leave because they have not received a COVID-19 vaccination. The additional staffing will cost about $1.5 million. Also in its 2022 budget, Essex County Council also passed a 1.56% tax hike. There's a push to boost graduation rates among Black, African, and Caribbean students in Windsor schools with a new hire. The Windsor-Essex Catholic District School Board has hired a graduation coach. And right now, she's working in the hallways of Catholic Central High School. Our Jacob Barker spoke with her, and he joins us now live. Jacob, what can you tell us about this new role?
Well, the goal of this position is to get more Black, African, and Caribbean students graduating. And the person to do it for the Catholic School Board is Sydney Moore. She's working right now at Catholic Central High School, which is home to quite a diverse population of students. She says that through her work, she advocates for the students and works with them to be the best person they want to be.
A graduation coach is basically a mentor that works with our Black, African, and Caribbean students to increase graduation rates, to address the barriers and the gaps within the educational system as a whole.
This sounds like kind of your dream job.
Yes, it definitely is. It is, and being able to be an advocate for our Black, African, and Caribbean students has definitely been a dream of mine, and being able to fulfill it is amazing.
What are the barriers?
There's a lot. Like I said, when it comes to de-streaming, there's a lot. When it comes to societal barriers as a whole, our Black, African, and Caribbean students, along with our Indigenous students, are facing a lot of issues that are preventing them going into post-secondary. Graduation rates are a lot lower for our Black, African, and Caribbean students.
If you're talking to a student, if you're sitting and chatting, like, how does that conversation go? What are you saying to them?
I'm asking them, where would they like to see themselves? What are the barriers that are present for them? What are preventing them from being the best version of themselves? Also, being an advocate and listening to their stories and working with them to, become the person that they would like to be.
It is needed because when it comes to different countries, because CCH is a school where you find different cultures, people from Africa, people from Egypt, Europe, and all that, and we all need different helps. Some people need to get out from their language, some people need to learn English and all that. As for me, I needed a credit, and I'm not that good in English, but like I'm still developing. But like, yeah, she has been a really important act in all this.
When you're talking with her, like, how do the sessions work?
Easy. Talking to her is just easy. When I'm talking to her, it's just like, I feel like I can be me. I don't need to force myself to bring out something that's not there. Like, oh, she's here, I can just be me. I can tell her anything that's inside me. I need something, I can literally run to her.
And right now, Moore is working at Catholic Central, but she would like to expand the program to other schools, including elementary schools. She says a lot of the issues with the educational system are occurring at that level as well.
Thanks for this, Jacob. The CBC's Jacob Barker live tonight. The local LGBTQ community is rejoicing after a bill to ban conversion therapy passed unanimously in the House.
There being no dissenting voice, I declare the motion carried.
When it passed unopposed, Liberals crossed the floor to embrace their Conservative opponents. It was Conservative MP Rob Moore who moved the motion to fast-track the vote yesterday. The legislation would outlaw the widely condemned practice aimed at changing a person's sexual orientation or gender identity. More than 60 Conservative MPs voted against a previous version of the conversion therapy ban. The bill now goes to the Senate. Leaders in Windsor, Essex say this is long overdue.
I was overwhelmed and overjoyed, and I was stunned that there was so much solidarity within the House of Commons between all parties. It was unanimous.
I do have some religious individuals who have been in my life who have actually encouraged me to go to conversion therapy. And that was definitely frustrating for me and difficult because the reality is that it doesn't work. And essentially this person was trying to tell me to hide who I am because it made them uncomfortable. And this is something that I know a lot of us within the queer and trans community have dealt with, even if we haven't personally undergone conversion therapy. We are constantly told to change who we are, to hide who we are, because it makes people uncomfortable because they can't accept and celebrate us for who we are.
I am hopeful and optimistic now, seeing what happened in the chamber yesterday, that we can accomplish this and quickly too. It doesn't have to be debated whether a human rights issue is questionable. It shouldn't ever be questionable.
While this conversion therapy ban is important and it's amazing that this has happened, this is just a start, and there's still a lot more to be done before everybody can be their true selves within our society.
A big night at Jackson Park. People are starting to pack the park because the countdown has begun for the start of Bright Lights Winter Festival. And our Chris Ensing is live there tonight. Chris, what have we got going on this year?
We've got joy, Kat. This year, Jackson Park is going to get lit up. Not like last year. Last year, they had to spread the cheer across the city because of the pandemic, those rules, social distancing. They wanted to make sure that this was citywide. But this year, it returns to Jackson Park. And you can see around me, already have the bright lights here. This festival is going to run into the beginning of January. But tonight is the first night where they're going to flick the switch and turn on the big tree behind me there. Now, there are vendors here who are selling local foods. There's items that you can purchase, but there's also people you can help, a charity drive. Many people here who are able to help people who need it more than ever. And I'm going to bring in Zoha now. Zoha, you are with We Care for Kids. Can you tell me a little bit about why that cause is so important for you?
We Care for Kids was an amazing cause for me because it just supported local pediatric health care, and especially with COVID and lockdown these days, our foundation needed a little bit of that boost, and just helping other people was absolutely beautiful.
When you look at what you've been able to see here so far today, that joy, how much of that plays into the idea of volunteering, of giving back, to be able to spread that cheer now that we can do it in a safe way?
Oh, 100% of that joy plays into everything we do. It's beautiful. We all get to come together as a community and help each other out. It's helping other people, it's such a beautiful thing in my opinion.
Now, you started as a volunteer with We Care for Kids. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do? Now, this obviously there's an event with a booth where people can come and buy hot chocolate, but what are some of the other things you've been a part of?
Well, I've been part of some galas, some lemonade stands, everything from the big to the small. We helped give checks to local hospitals, and it was just all around. We did the big, the medium, the small. It was just everything that we could.
And in a year like this, is there anything that you need more than ever? Are we just anything anyone can give at a time when it's tough to give? If you have that opportunity, I guess now is the time?
Yeah, I do agree. In the past, it was a little tough to give, but now is our opportunity. Now is because of the bright lights, you can help us by buying hot chocolate. We have a booth down there, and it's just a wonderful and easy way to help us out, because who doesn't love a hot treat?
Absolutely, it smells delicious in there as well. Just before we go, a quick look here. What do you think of bright lights? Are you excited for that treat?
Oh, 100%. It's going to be beautiful.
No, it really will be a great time. Thank you very much for joining us. And again, 6:30 is when they're going to flick the switch and turn on the tree behind us here. A lot of lights already up, and we've seen some of the celebrities as well. Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse. I've seen a couple puppies wearing some rainbow necklaces. We'll be back here later on in the show to, guide us towards the end of the program there, Kat, and we'll be full of joy waiting for you later on this evening.
Thanks so much for this, Chris. Can't wait to check back in with you. That is our Chris Ensing live at Jackson Park for the kickoff of the Bright Lights Festival. Live look now at some other bright lights that we can see in our city. Warmer conditions today, mainly cloudy tonight and into tomorrow as well. Colette Kennedy will be here right after the break. She will have your full weather forecast, and she's been keeping an eye on a possible storm moving through this weekend. So she'll have the latest right after the break. Stay with us. Colette Kennedy is here now for a look at our weather forecast. Colette, it's been really feeling like winter lately, but today I had this thought of like, oh, what a beautiful autumn day at 11 degrees.
Yeah, especially kind of getting into that sweet spot before the, secondary cold fronts moved in. Before that, and with some sun coming through and mild temperatures, okay, had to deal with the winds. But I'll tell you, 12.6 degrees in Harrow, we'll make that. Let's round it up and make it 13. And 12.9 for Windsor, the hot spot in Ontario. Yeah, we'll make that 13 as well. But with some of the wind gusts for Windsor, over 60 kilometers an hour reported. But look at Port Colborne, over 90 and close to 80 there through St. Catharines as well. So definitely some stronger wind gusts. These are still the current ones, but look at that direction too. Directionally, now the wind's coming from the northwest and allowing that colder air behind that secondary cold front to start filtering in. I say start because we still have some readings that are way above seasonal for this time of year, this time of day certainly, but even for a daytime high, those would be extreme. Never mind seeing 12 and 13 degrees. Some of those winds now providing a little bit of that activity that's to the northeast of southwestern Ontario, but London, some light rain showers, but some wet flurries, that potential not only tonight, but tomorrow too, although it's slimmer. Instead, I think we're going to deal with some cloud cover through this region. So watch as I roll this forward and we take a look at the early morning hours, hoping to see some sun kind of peeking through here. Certainly Sarnia, you have a better chance through Chatham-Kent. Windsor, we'll see it kind of variable, but London across to about Hamilton is where it looks like there'll be more extensive cloud cover through the day, so harder to break through. And by late day, we're seeing that back towards Harrow and Windsor region as well. Now, Saturday, a weak system moves through. Most of it pulls north, but some flurries not out of the question. Then we're going to get into a scenario where we're going to warm back up again. Milder readings come in with the next stronger storm that will move through, and that will mostly be a rain event because of where the readings are going to be. 0 tonight, yeah, the temperature really going to continue to push down, and then tomorrow we get to go just to a high of 4 degrees. Saturday, not a bad day, certainly, and then you can see what these numbers are like, at least 8, I'm thinking. It sort of depends on the timing and track here, and then we're still mild early Monday, and then the temperature will fall. So on the backside, likely some flurries come back, but mostly a rain event there.
Sounds good. We'll keep an eye on that. Thanks so much, Colette.
You're welcome.
When we come back, we're going to go back to Chris at Jackson Park for more on bright lights because we're just minutes away from the lighting of the Christmas tree. Stay with us. For Windsorites or any other Canadian thinking about a winter getaway, the new Omicron variant could put a freeze on those hopes. Ottawa has announced new testing and isolation requirements for anyone arriving in Canada from anywhere other than the United States. That includes Canadians coming home from overseas, which may be enough to have international travelers shelve their vacation plans altogether. CBC's Jacqueline Hansen has the story.
A familiar air of uncertainty for Canadian travelers.
We got home just in time before I think everything kind of goes downhill again.
Airlines and the travel industry had just been starting to take off again.
With this latest variant, it's just a hit, sliding us backwards.
While most flights in and out of Canadian airports are still domestic and not subject to the new restrictions, international trips are beginning to ramp back up. In October 2020, the Vancouver airport saw just 16,000 people arrive from international locations other than the U.S. This year, 70,000. Still far below the 250,000 pre-pandemic, but enough to potentially make widespread on-site testing complicated. The Canadian Airports Council says the only operationally feasible way is to provide off-site tests. Either way, it could make some travelers think twice.
Every time something like this happens, I think it just shakes the psyche of every traveler.
So far, the new changes don't apply to travelers coming from the U.S., but that could change.
We need to be prepared and ready if we need to adjust that decision.
Some hope the testing is seen as an added layer of protection.
The whole point of all this is about making sure that people feel safer when they are traveling, and I think it's better than closing the borders.
Though the past week is proof that the rules can change quickly.
The international travelers are extremely concerned now that they'll go to a country that ultimately could get closed down.
Potentially putting travel plans for the holidays and even the new year in jeopardy.
I want to a couple more trips in 2022, but with the new variant, I don't know if I'll be able to.
Leaving COVID-weary would-be travelers wondering when they will truly be in the clear. Jacqueline Hansen, CBC News, Toronto.
We are minutes away from the lighting of the big Christmas tree at Jackson Park. So for that, we go straight back to Chris Ensing. He is there live and in the holiday spirit. Look at you, Chris. How's it going?
I thought I would try out to be the one who flips the switch for the big Christmas tree, but I don't think I really
looked the part. Look at that profile shot there.
We really get a little bit of extra there. I know there's been some complaints about my wardrobe recently, so I thought this would be the big move. But Kat, the joy here that is being felt, there are people here packing in. The social distance factor is part of this. We're seeing some who have masks on, still a celebration during a pandemic. And for those who aren't as extra as me, or sometimes you too, Kat, if you want a silent or a muted version of this, on Tuesdays they are offering nights where the strobe lights are a little less, the music's a little less, just so it's a bit more sensory friendly. Now, if you are coming tonight, 6:30, they're going to start to get ready to flick that switch there, Kat, and I bet you it's going to be a joyful time.
Thank you so much for bringing us that joy, for putting on that outfit, bringing that holiday spirit. Really appreciate it, Chris. That is CBC's Chris Ensing live tonight. So now we're going to let the camera...
I'm going to go see if I can still find the switch for that.
Absolutely. So we're going to let the camera pan. We're going to see what folks who are at the park are looking at right now. There's that tree in the distance. It'll be lit any moment now. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to everybody, and everybody at Bright Lights. I hope you're having a fun time. Thanks so much for watching. That is it for CBC Windsor News. Have a good night.